Ready? Great. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here today. I want to say happy Election Day. If you have already returned your ballot weeks ago, or you're planning to stop by an official drop box later today, thank you. Thank you for participating in our democracy. Thank you for showing up for your community and for making your voice heard. Thank you for voting. As your Secretary of State and Chief Elections Official, my #1 priority is protecting your right to vote, because voting is not just a civic ritual. It's how we hold government accountable and shape our shared future. And protecting that right is never more important than it has been right now, because there's a lot of noise going on about our elections, especially leading up to today. So I want every Oregonian to listen carefully. Your voice matters. Your vote matters. And I want to reassure you that Oregon's elections are secure. Oregon's elections are accurate. Oregon's elections are fair. And you should feel confident that our system is the gold standard for elections. So let me tell you a little bit about why. In Oregon, when you register to vote, you provide proof of identity and attest that you meet all eligibility requirements. If you lie, that's a crime. And all that information is verified by trained elections officials. When you vote, it's on paper. And as my Republican predecessor, Dennis Richardson, used to like to say, you can't hack paper. You've also got time to become an informed voter by researching candidates and measures, time to think about your choices, time to talk to your friends and family and neighbors before you vote. When you're ready to vote, you get to vote in a way that fits your life. You don't have to worry about standing in long lines or being intimidated into voting a certain way while you wait to vote. You can return your ballot when it works best for you and fit it into your busy schedule. You can return it by mail, of course. You can go to your county elections office, or you can return it to any one of the official drop boxes all across Oregon. Those boxes are monitored and secured. They're equipped with fire suppression technology, and election officials work closely with local law enforcement and emergency response partners to protect you and your ballot. And because every ballot has a unique barcode and a paper trail, if anything were to happen to your ballot, whether it's in the mail or in a drop box, our county clerks can act quickly to identify and assist any affected voters. Every ballot envelope is also signed by the voter, and those signatures are then verified by trained election officials. This ensures that only eligible people cast ballots, and every voter can only vote once. Voter fraud is incredibly rare, but I can assure you we take it very seriously. Every complaint is investigated, every violation is prosecuted. Not to mention, the machines that are used to count ballots are never, ever connected to the internet, and they are tested publicly before and after every election for accuracy. On top of that, every election office develops a security plan that is carefully reviewed, tested, and implemented. Every ballot is tracked. Every signature is verified. Every vote is secure. That matters, because trust in our elections, in our democracy, is built on transparency, on accountability, and on security at every step in our process. And it is working. Oregon consistently has some of the highest voter turnout rates in the country. We are the gold standard here, too, and we are proud to be a national leader in both election accessibility and security. Now, Oregonians have turned out at a near record pace in this primary election because we make it convenient for eligible voters to make their voices heard. That means that more people are making sure that power answers to them, not the other way around. And that, I think, is probably why Oregon has become a target for the Trump administration. Over the past year and a half, this administration has relentlessly worked to make it harder for eligible American citizens to vote, and they have overreached their authority into how states administer their elections. That's an attack on your freedom to vote and on the rule of law in our country. You don't have to be a lawyer like our Attorney General to understand what it says in our Constitution. Very clearly in Article 1, Section 4, states run elections, not presidents. At the same time, this administration is also using the authority they do have to gut key programs and agencies that states have depended on to protect our elections, including the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, known as CISA. CISA provided us with intelligence briefings and real-time cyber threat alerts, with physical security assessments and incident response plans. CISA was our firewall against foreign interference and domestic attacks. But now, under this administration, that's all gone. Not to mention the operational changes and funding cuts that are impacting the United States Postal Service, resulting in mailing and delivery delays, which of course impacts the options that Oregonians have to get their ballots in on time. But here's what Oregonians need to know. We already have strong physical security and operational measures in place. And where the federal government is stepping back, Oregon is stepping up. Our office has partnered with the Oregon Titan Fusion Center, the Oregon Military Department, and others to reinforce our firewalls to protect Oregonians from any outside threats or domestic attacks. And I want to thank those folks for their partnership. The state and counties have been working with organizations such as the Center for Safe and Secure Elections, Ready for Tuesday, and the Elections Group to support county elections officials with their planning, their training, and resilience efforts. We've also strengthened coordination between Oregon's local emergency managers and county election offices to ensure that we are prepared and ready to respond on the fly at every level. I also want to thank our Attorney General, General Rayfield, for working with us to fight back in court against the illegal executive orders that are such a blatant attempt to undermine our elections and Oregonians' right to choose how we run our elections. We are prepared for every possible scenario. And one of the best tools at our disposal is drop boxes. Oregon has 321 official drop boxes spread across the state, and we are working hard to increase that number for future elections. They provide a secure, reliable option for voters to return their ballot without having to worry about mailing delays. We built resilience into this system so we can withstand any crisis. So every eligible voter is able to make their voice heard in this election and in every election. Now, I want to make it really clear. Our election officials are prepared to protect you and your vote. Any threats against voters, election officials, or election infrastructure will be taken seriously, and we will respond immediately. Because threatening election workers is a crime. Intimidating voters is a crime. And interfering with the administration of an election is a crime. So if you see any concerning activity today or during any election, please call your local elections officials, call law enforcement, call our office as soon as possible. Now, before I wrap up, I want to take a moment to acknowledge and recognize Oregon's 36 amazing county clerks and elections directors. Along with them, law enforcement and everyone who makes our elections possible. These public servants work long hours under increasing scrutiny to ensure that every election meets that gold standard. Even in the face of the federal funding cuts that I already talked about, increasing political pressure and growing threats to our safety and theirs, our election community has remained resilient, professional, and deeply committed to serving every Oregon voter. They're answering questions, they're addressing concerns, they are protecting every ballot. So my thanks go to all of them. That is an inspiring commitment. It's a powerful reminder, actually, that our democracy is not something that sustains itself. It depends on citizens who believe in it enough to show up for it, to protect it, and to participate in it. It depends on all of us. And it's a reminder that history has been shaped by millions of everyday people that are choosing to believe that this is all worth the effort. It's worth the responsibility, and it's worth defending. So if you haven't already voted, please don't miss the chance. Use that power and don't let it be taken away from you. Return your ballot by 8 o'clock tonight to an official drop box. And now we are very glad to have him with us here today. I'm going to hand it over to our Attorney General, Dan Rayfield, who is leading the charge to defend elections here in Oregon and around the country. General.
Well, it is always fun to be here with Secretary Reed. People don't remember, maybe they do, that we served in the legislature together, so it's always fun to serve then, and it's incredibly meaningful to serve together right now on this incredible day. Any election day, it doesn't matter what year it is, it's just an incredible day for a free country. It's an important day for a free country, and every election, people across Oregon sit down at their kitchen tables or wherever they sit in their house, and they continually go through their ballot, and they look and they decide who they want to represent them. They decide what they want their state, what they want their country to look like by who they choose to represent them. That's why this day is so darn important. And I think the one thing that is incredibly interesting about that is I don't care if it's the most conservative person in the state of Oregon or the most progressive person in the state of Oregon. Both of those people want the same things. They want their elections to be accurate, and they want their elections to be fair, and they want their elections to have integrity. And today, I think Secretary Reed and myself are willing to say to all Oregonians that your election today is accurate, and it does have integrity, and it is safe. And it has that because you have amazing public servants across the state that are committed to these ideals. You have elected officials that are committed to these ideals and enforcing those ideals. Now, it doesn't mean that it's been easy during this past year and a half when it comes to our elections and these values. The amount of misinformation that is being spewed across our country within this state is at an all-time high. We have attacks on the integrity and the administration of our elections from elected officials going all the way up to the President of the United States. And we have the manipulation and the gerrymandering, the open gerrymandering across this country so that political parties can stay in power. And that applies to both Democrats as well as applies to Republicans. The Department of Justice is pushing back again, trying to uphold the values that I think all Oregonians care about. When we think about the things that we're doing, we have had to file multiple election cases during this past year to stop the unconstitutional actions of our president. And in each one of those cases, where we have sought relief from the courts, we have been successful. Today, right now, in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, the Oregon Department of Justice is arguing a case on this very topic, our elections and our voter rolls. Moving forward, these values don't end today. When it comes to election integrity, when it comes to the accuracy and the secure elections, this is a responsibility that continues moving forward, and that is something we are committed to. Next week, this doesn't stop for the Secretary and myself. Next week, we will be gathered with a bunch of attorneys general talking about what are the things we need to expect as we head towards November. It's not enough to be reactive. We have to sit there and look forward and anticipate what challenges may come, and we need to be ready for them because elections matter and they are that important. I'm proud to live in this state. I'm proud to say that I think we have some of the best elections in this entire country, things that I think that other states should be doing. I'm proud to have a Secretary of State that is committed to these values. I'm proud to have elected officials and citizens across the state that are committed to this. And everybody should know that our elections are safe and secure, and you have amazing public officials, whether they be at the Secretary of State's office, whether they be at the county clerk's offices, or the Department of Justice that are committed to these values and will continue working towards these values as we head towards November.
Sir.
All right,
Kyle.
Secretary of State, you talked about the mailing delays. What would your message be for voters who still have their ballots, would like to have them either postmarked or dropped off at a drop box? What would your suggestion be?
The very best thing they can do is get to an official drop box and get that ballot in that drop box by 8 o'clock tonight. If they absolutely can't do that and they need to use the mailing option, go to the post office, go up to the counter and ask the person there to apply a manual postmark. That will at least make sure that that vote is legally cast. Hopefully it will get to us on time. We can accept ballots that are postmarked by Election Day for up to 7 days. What we're worried about is the delay not only in the postmarking but in the processing, because any mail that is sent from a location that's more than 50 miles away from Portland is going to Portland for that processing and postmarking, even if the destination is just across town. So again, the best option is get to a drop box. Those are easy to find, and in many communities they are very, very convenient. Thanks.
Have there been any credible threats or red flags within the past year to Oregon's election system?
I guess it depends on how you would define that, but we feel really good about our system because of all the checks and and backups that are in place. The fact that people are proving their identity and their eligibility when they vote, when they get a paper ballot that has a barcode on it, we can track that. When that ballot comes back, the envelope is signed, which is verified. There are multi-partisan teams that review those ballots to make sure that the voter's intention is accurately recorded on the paper ballot. They are counted by machines that we talked about. They're not connected to the internet. They're tested publicly. Those ballots are audited. They are retained so that they can be recounted if necessary. All of those things are really excellent. And anybody can observe those processes too. County clerks all welcome people who want to come and watch what's happening. Those are all really good security elements of our system, and I think we feel really confident about that.
I had a question. Here in Marin County, an issue was identified and it was fixed pretty quickly, but can you talk a little bit about the partnership maybe between your office and county clerks to kind of, when issues like that happen, and were any similar issues identified anywhere else in the state?
Well, it is definitely a partnership. I like the word that you used because those 36 folks know their counties. They do the hard work of maintaining those rolls, of getting those ballots in the right places, and they react quickly. So I can also suggest, you may not realize that the Marion County Clerk is sitting right behind you. So as we finish up, you can follow up with him for the specifics as well. So thanks. Yeah.
The bulk of the vote share will likely skew older, as it typically does, 65 plus. So how do you appeal to that younger demographic and engage with them and encourage them to actually vote?
I think we talk about history. We talk about how many people have sacrificed to make sure that we have this option, and how many people around the world would love to be in a position where people get to vote. And not only that, we're a state where you don't have to stand in line. You don't have to make a lot of those same kinds of sacrifices and get a babysitter and take time off work to do it. The ballot comes to you, and you can engage with it on your own time. Then we talk about all the important decisions that have hinged on just a few votes. And probably everybody in Oregon can think about someone or some race or some issue that can be that way. We were in Benton County not too long ago who talked about a school bond issue that was decided by, I think, 36 votes. That doesn't take much. Former Governor Kate Brown talks about her first race that was decided by 7 votes. So it's easy to think about those things where history really does hinge on those, and we don't want anyone to feel like after the fact, I had something to say about that and I missed my opportunity. So we just talk in really concrete terms about what this means and how it can shape our future.
We've got a question from Carlos of the Oregonian for Secretary Reed. You mentioned cuts to the Federal Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, and to their various services. Have we seen any direct impacts from that in Oregon, or will we leading up to November? Is Oregon able to replace some of those services?
We are developing new partnerships, Carlos, with the Titan Fusion Center, the military department, and others to do our very best, but we always want to have more capacity to deal with those things. It's much more a question of trying to be on the front rather than reacting to things. So we'll continue to address those in the way we can and continue to try to make the case at the federal level for restoring those types of funding because they are good investments.
Do you have a message for voters who, as it pertains to discerning what might be misinformation or what you called noise earlier, and what information to keep in mind going into an election?
Yeah, when you have questions, look for reliable sources. Look to your county clerk. Look to the Secretary of State's office. Ask questions. Be skeptical and engage with the kinds of resources that have an interest in protecting elections, not someone else who has a particular agenda. Okay. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. Make sure you get your ballots in if you haven't. Thanks very much.